just got done watching my Heather Cox Richardson. I continue to advise that that's the best thing you could do every morning. She doesn't have a new thing every morning, but she had something. Oh my God, hi, Lois. Nice to see you in person. I was actually just listening to Heather Cox Richardson with her friend, historian Joanne Freeman, and they do a show together every Saturday, and they were talking about like the community that you build online and how interesting it is when you actually see some of those people in person, but how much I think we underestimate the power of online community. But I'm very angry, and so I just came on here to talk to other Americans who are very angry as well. And the reminder that Republicans could end this anytime they like. And we need to all not forget that when this is over. I am streaming from my house. They might though. Like, it's not working. They're not winning. But by the time a regime is forced to rely on terror, it's not going well. And there's so many of us, but I think we're getting to that point where we're going to see someone target federal agents real soon. Oh, I made this out of pillowcases. I love it. My wall looks so blank back here. I need I know what I need. Hang on. Oh, you're in PST, so you have been up all night. I hope you're planning to go to sleep. But also, yeah, really weird times. I mean, it's not that sus when you understand we're living through a giant storm. Government didn't just take down all of your internet because of Minnesota. The United States is not networked that way. We do love a conspiracy theory, though. There's not one button for the government to just push to turn off your internet. Actually, the entire intelligence community works on securing that. When we see stuff like that happen in Iran, it's a very big difference between our nation and a nation that's been under authoritarian control for 50 years. They are set up differently. Oh, so which book and workbook? So I wrote a book called The Culting of America, and there's a companion workbook called Unculture Yourself. So part of cults, people think of religion, right? But cults are not always religious, but they always give you a worldview and also a pseudo personality that you have to adopt. If you are a child, you don't get to build a real personality. You just are this personality-less person. So the workbook is, I think, the first attempt at anything like this to help people try to deconstruct that worldview and that identity. It's getting long though. It's going to be interesting to see all of this pressure building and then the weather. Weather, by the way, is under the intelligence officer's purview. Why? Don't think there are a lot of ICE agents out right now. So knowing the weather, knowing the social calendar of the country you're fighting in, knowing whether they care about dates, like Christians really care about Christmas, and we're obsessed with the idea of being attacked on Christmas. Probably because George Washington crossed the Delaware and murdered everybody on Christmas. Americans like to attack people on Christmas. Muslims don't care. But Americans are obsessed with the idea of Muslims attacking us on Christmas. Very interesting cultural thing. And it's interesting where we get our fears from, especially as everyone has been screaming at me over the past 2 days that I'm not afraid enough. Sometimes I don't think anyone has really thought about what it means to be born and raised in an international sex and labor cult. So, making this necklace, I'm going to put butterflies all over it. But then I also started this one, and this one, and this one, and this one, and this one, but I think maybe I'm going to take this gold off. There's one more that I haven't put anything on yet. I was like, if I'm going to get all my flower colors out. Power's out. Oof. No, Reagan. It's no bueno at all. Do you have somewhere that you're going? Do you have a generator? Do you have someone to stay with? Oh, you get to freak out anytime you want. Yeah. The white American exceptionalism and the freaking out has been a lot, Miss Hardy. You don't get to demand that I freak out. I started getting worried in 2015 when a tyrant ran for the election and was clearly going to win. And so I changed my whole life. I read probably over 100 books on authoritarianism. I wrote 2 relevant books, and I got a relevant master's degree from Harvard and built a giant platform so I could help people through this. I don't know whose permission you're looking for to freak out, and I don't know what you think freaking out is going to get you. But some of us have been paying attention for a real long time, and we don't appreciate your implication. What the fuck have you done, ma'am? And why are you waiting for someone to give you permission to freak out? Grab your fucking ovaries and go resist the tyrant. Like Americans are supposed to do. Like you've probably celebrated on many 4th of Julys. Okay? Stop asking a child who grew up in worse situations than you could ever imagine in the modern world to have a comfort freak out so that you feel okay. Gross. None of y'all are allowed to talk to me this way. What the fuck are you doing? No, do not text that to the group of Slumber Party Moms, please. Go figure out the fuck how you're going to fight back. Stop waiting for someone to save you. And really stop trying to shame me. Fucking American-born white ladies. God. Some of you have never been through anything hard in your lives, and it shows. And what that means is you should really be listening to those of us who have, because we can probably help you. But you can just show up here and get an attitude with me, you can be gone. I love how they never have anything to say to that. Hey. Someone's making me a knitting call lady. I'm agree. It's Reagan. We all know Reagan. It could all end right now. It could all end anytime. I've been asked to sit and think about why so many people misinterpret me about the military. And it's not actually civilians not understanding the military that upsets me. That's why I've spent 3 years learning how to explain it. I've written one of the first books about the military in civilian language. I understand how important this is. But what nobody's making anybody do is yell at the lady trying to help us understand and weaponize the words that she didn't even say. And that is the thing I will not tolerate. When you're scared, you don't have to go yell at the people trying to help you and try to give them a black eye because it might be fun. Just nobody made you do that. And if you do that even one time, you're out of my space. If I say something and then something happens to counteract it, I promise you, as an analyst, I'll be the first one here to tell you that. I'll be the first one well, y'all, we have a new military now because they're marching down the streets shooting Americans. I'll be the first one to say that. The knit-in is on March 8th. Another thing that I'm doing, organizing. They are outnumbered. There's nothing they can do. And y'all, today, because I needed some comfort, I was just thinking about the way the nation is going to celebrate when Kristi Noem goes to jail. And how her little fucking face is going to have to watch that. Yeah. Probably because I grew up in a sex and labor cult, I think having the exact information at the exact time you need it is what matters, right? Currently, the military is not marching down the streets shooting at us, and there's nothing to indicate that they will. Should that change, we'll talk about that then. This is always I used to have to tell the pilots this, would be like, y'all, the weapon system that you're the most concerned about, it doesn't exist in this country. And should it exist, we'll know when they shoot a helicopter down, and then we'll have that information, and then we'll update. And that was very unsettling to the pilots. Didn't comfort them at all. The amount of times I'm told every day that I'm not comforting. And it's so weird to expect the threat analyst to comfort you. That's another American thing. white supremacy, right to comfort, that people in this country, especially white people, but all Americans, really haven't fucking dealt with. They're like, nobody guaranteed you. Yeah, that whole life, liberty, and happiness thing, they made that up. If you're not willing to go fight for it, no one can actually guarantee you that. No one can guarantee you a nice country. No one can guarantee you a nice life. I was born in a sex cult, treated like children that lived about 300 or 400 years ago. Yep. Enslaved my whole life, beaten, raped, whole time. Sitting on my couch in America and nobody's raping my kid. Yeah, I think there's hope. But like, it's not even, it's like, yeah, as white women, we should have woken up a long time ago. But the waking up and then immediately demanding that everyone else around you panic, shh. Some people have been here for hundreds of years. I do allow gifts for KCB. I might have to just to put the kibosh on gifts, though, so my husband doesn't leave me because there's so many things in the house. Congress can still... Congress can end this anytime they want. But, you know, when an insurgency is born, this is what it looks like. And a bunch of us woke up in 2015 when he ran, but didn't have the reach to do anything about it. And it's funny because I thought I was going into a triggered state of trauma and just cutting off the world and the news, which of course is an incredible amount of privilege for me to be able to do in 2016. But what I was actually doing was building a situation where it could be heard the next time around. Who is benefiting? A small group of elites that wants to strip our country for parts. And we can stop those elites. But there's no safe way to resist an authoritarian regime. And I hope these summary executions are showing people that. I've been asked so many times, how can we push back and still stay safe? You can't. An authoritarian regime gets to use violence unequally whenever they want. That's part of it. But they're trying to be able to just come in your house, so you're not safe anyway. No, you can go away, Quantum Hedge. Nobody wants you here. Bye-bye. We're actually not listening to 22-year-old Daniela. We're listening to 38-year-old Daniela, who has done a lot of work on the decisions to join the military. And nobody went out and asked you to be here. Not one person. There was no recruiters, nothing. Clutch your man pearls and run the fuck away. I mean, Heather Cox Richardson was saying something great today, which is like, as of fucking today, There was no more, oh, I didn't know what this was going to be. Like, no. Everybody knows, and everybody's making a choice to continue to support. Oh, you're tired? I've been living under authoritarianism since I was born. Didn't have one concept of freedom. Had to fight for every single thing. You can't be tired in a war. You just have to keep going. I can summarize man's search for meaning in one sentence. If you lose hope, you don't survive. Yeah. We still have food. People are getting mad at me for not being scared enough. I was telling my husband last night, I was like, I know how much of the ends of which kind of grass to eat when you're really hungry. I know that begonias are delicious. I did get lucky with foraging as a starving child because I was in the tropics. I was starving in the tropics. So, they tried to keep us from eating green mangoes and it did not work out well. But stop. We might go through some hard things, y'all. Yeah. You might have to give up your front lawns and start growing fruit trees and vegetables. You might have to stop wearing different clothes every day. America. It's really weird to the rest of the world that we do that. I mean, there's no good end game. That's the thing. It's like, I call this sampling the Kool-Aid, right? All of these tyrants study each other. They all first of all, it's not fun to be a successful cult leader. Cult leaders are never having fun. Dictators are not having fun. They're worried about keeping their control and the next person that's going to kill them. Once you introduce killing your enemies into a game, you can't relax. Yeah. Because you started that game and now you're in that game. Imagine you got to be the dark coercive therapist for 100 million people. It's pretty miserable. Right? But they all study each other, but they all think that they're the one. They're the one that's going to get it right. This is the same way I feel when men ask me if you can have good cults. Like, oh yeah, you're the good guy for sure. Yeah, more than one family in the same house, less meat, eating tinned fish. I'm going to do a little jig of happiness when Americans have to start eating tuna and sardines and liver, honestly. It's part of why our food, especially white America's food, sucks so much. It's because you've never had to learn to use the dregs. It does depend on my definition of fun. I grew up in an international sex and labor cult, and I've been to war twice. I would assume I have a very different definition of fun than you do, and also a very different definition of what is hard. Being involved with local group, gardening and donating. More people need to do that. People have this idea that you can just grow food anytime you like. It's pretty hard to grow food. If you're not already doing it, please don't count on something that you're going to eat that as something that you can use to survive a disaster. Like cheese sandwiches is a thing all over the rest of the world. Whole meal, bread and cheese. I am on TikTok. They're right here. I just pay them less attention because I make money here. And I just get haters here. The most complicated thing I admitted. Lace. I did a lace skirt during the beginnings of COVID when I was writing Uncultured. We hear a lot about how Shakespeare wrote Taming of the Shrew during a pandemic. But I knitted very fine lace, took care of my own offspring, and wrote a book. So I'm not saying that I'm better than Shakespeare, but here's the evidence. Yeah, also margarine sandwiches. Bread with butter and banana slices for dessert. Like almonds. There's a fruit around the almond nut. Most people don't eat it because it's tart and a little bit chalky. But when you get hungry enough, there's an almond fruit.
Sure. Let me up. Good boy.
So many different, so many ways that it can get so much worse. We're all gonna have to figure out how to help each other. I have loads of canned tuna and sardines at my house. This was actually my superpower in the military, was that I like tuna. Why is that? Well, there's a tuna MRE, and most Americans don't like tuna. So if you get one packaged meal a day and it's tuna, you're in a really bad place. Also, the tuna MRE is objectively the best because it's the only one that is store quality. You just get a package of Sunkist, some good Hellmann's mayonnaise, and I would make them give me everything good like the MRE that I opened. I would get to keep everything good, give them the crap, and be like, I'll take your tuna. My dog gets really mad when I eat tuna out of the can in front of him. He's just like, what is the story here? And my husband and daughter think it's crazy, but they're going to be the ones that are more hungry. It's like Korea. Like Korea was so just fucked over forever by the Chinese and the Japanese, and just Korea has just been persecuted forever. And Korea was always an extremely poor country, and that's why you go to a Korean, we go to the Korean hot pot thing, and I could care the least about the meat. It's all the little sides and the flavoring and everything's so good, and steamed egg. There's this thing about Americans that is completely illogical, which is Americans think tuna pizza is crazy. Tuna pizza is delicious. But it would be fine to think that tuna pizza was crazy, except that this is a country where fucking tuna melts exist. Stop! It's the same fucking thing. Of course, the gringos are locos. Siempre. No escuchen a nadie. Yeah, I get not liking tuna melts, but acting like tuna pizza it's just this xenophobic thing that Americans do. Outsider thing gross, and we put anchovies on pizza. Stop. There are restaurants all over this country where tuna melts exist. Stop. It's a whole thing about Americans and food. Writing about it a bit in Un-American. It's regular pizza, usually with a sauce. It just depends. Like it's different in Germany than in Italy. I liked it best in Germany. And like in Brazil, I mean, you will never attend a party that doesn't have a tuna dip, and they sell sardines and tunas at gas stations. It's just so funny. And again, Americans don't realize how much of it is just never having poverty. It's part of why white Americans don't use spices either. It's like, oh no, you could just kill the buffalo and eat it fresh and it was delicious. You didn't have to suck the bones. You didn't have to use old meat. You didn't have to do anything. Why Germany? I don't know. I liked their tuna pizza better than Italy's. Might have been because I was 21 when I went to Germany, and I went to Italy on that trip. But oh, Adriana, this is not the space for you if you're going to be so hateful. Bye-bye. Some of us don't work on Sundays, but our work is crocheting, and we make so much money crocheting and talking to the internet about our expertise. I know it pisses off little haters like you, which is the best part. Have fun at your real job. I'm going to make $100 from this necklace. What are you going to do? Yeah, my head hurts too. I'm just sitting here. I listened to my Heather Cox Richards, and I even slept until 7:22 this morning. And then I remembered my child is in a sleepover and everything is terrible in America. So I was like, you know what? Let's go crochet and talk to the people. We have a lot of snow. The Republican dog refuses to go pee. And so we are waiting. Oh, cult popcorn's the whole thing. We don't need to give cult babies popcorn tips. Oh, it's never too early for the haters. Oh, yeah, standard of living is way lower in Europe, especially food and drink. Like, y'all, it's a choice. In most European countries, you can eat at a restaurant almost every day for just slightly less than you could cook your own groceries by yourself at home. And alcohol doesn't have to cost 4 times as much. Nope, that thing that your economics professors taught you about alcohol and desserts, they don't have to do that. In South America, alcohol at restaurants costs the same as it costs in the grocery store. That's a choice that we put up with, friends. Oh, it's definitely not as cold here as in Minnesota. There's a reason that I don't live in Minnesota, even though half of my family's from there. I could never. OMG. But also, it's like he's even copying Hitler about being stupid in the winter with your armed forces. Like, no, it's not healthy coping mechanism. Let me perform online for strangers. It's let me go hang out with the fucking community that I've painstakingly built because I'm in anguish and so are they. Dusty, clutch those man pearls real hard. Learn to do better. And of course, you couldn't do it. That's why you don't have 1 million followers on the internet and 2 best-selling books. Leave it to the women every time. Like those who are pushing back right now, all women, very significant, Dusty. Yeah. Do they just want? No, you are being a troll. I don't realize how deeply misogynistic some of you are, but please understand that I do this every day for a living and none of your comments are new. And I also live with a penis veteran who doesn't get the same reactions. I know you all are upset that I make my living knitting and talking to the internet. I am pretty surprised that I get to do this. How to say, I don't know if my mom is more impressed by the Harvard degree or if she's more impressed by the fact that I actually just make my money knitting and reading books. I'm going to make enough money for her to do it too. I'm working on that. Because she's a court reporter and I just found jury selection to be traumatizing. I was like, I am not going to be able to. Okay, but Dusty, just it was so minimizing. We don't have to minimize. Yeah. See, the thing about when men question us is they don't understand that we get questioned by everybody, so we know our fucking shit. "33 years. I've been knitting for 33 years. That being said, I am pretty sure, both from my own lack of memory of having to spend a lot of frustrating time learning and from watching my own child learn, that the same way I am hyperlexive with languages, I am hyperlexive with knitting, which is a language. So the same way I hadn't crocheted since I was 12, and then at 28 I picked up a crochet hook and just made a dress. I have some some skill there, but most of the answer is I've been knitting for longer than Jesus was alive. Yeah. The cognitive dissonance is good right now. I mean, most of I grew up in the Children of God cult. It's the one that's known for being like, hey, raping children is cool. I am crocheting a necklace. But many of them are going to be waking up now. They just shot a straight white man. right? So, like, in cult studies, I call this precipitating their own apocalypse. Cult leaders do it, I think, for the same reason that people sometimes fake orgasms. Because when you're building and building and building and building and building, you gotta give them a climax. This is why people are always like, why do cult leaders predict an apocalypse date? It's because, like, all of the energy that brand is going to get from going through an apocalypse is what they want. And they just get to move the date and be like, oh no, God gave us more time. It's cool. Right? But it's that energy, it's that desperation. They need you to feel it. Oh, someone today, one of my YouTube comments was like, please don't use the word apocalypse. To a cult scholar? You're trying to police the word apocalypse to a cult scholar? I mean, they try to police the word cult too, which is very funny. I even made up my own word, apocalypticizing. That is fantasizing for the apocalypse. Or like when you see people on the left being like, Donald Trump's threatening martial law. When is the military going to come in and save us? Which is martial law. You're begging for martial law to come save you from the threat of martial law. And the answer's still the same. Martial law can't control America. I mean, I think it depends who you're being called a cult leader by, and that concept is what cult leaders use. Like, oh, they're calling us a cult leader. That means we're on the right path. Persecution. No, David Koresh, you were raping 12-year-olds. Usually, unless you're a cult scholar getting called a cult leader because people are mad at you, you want to ask more questions about why you're being called a cult leader. It's not usually just because of motivation. But yeah, the concept, everyone hates me, so I'm on the right track. We really got to watch out with that because that is deep in American. I know that I know you, and we're applying to your statement, not to who you are as a person. This is what I'm trying to tell you is that when people use the term, I like it when they say I'm a cult leader because I know I'm on the right track. That is a cult leader tactic. That is a evangelical. If they persecute you, know that they persecuted me before you. Like, that's where it comes from, and that's what we got to watch. That being said, it's interesting to talk about any of that stuff because the first and the most boring thing that people do to cult scholars when they don't like what they're saying is, you're a cult leader. It's so boring. It's exactly as boring as that military intelligence oxymoron joke. Just like, come up with something new, folks. Come up with something new. On a scale of 1 to 10, we still have food. I would not rate it as that bad. On a scale of 1 to 10, I would put us at step 1 in the revolution. It's just that most white Americans have never been through something hard. I know. And like, you can't be a cult leader without a group. That's what's really interesting. When, they try it, it's like, oh, you're a cult leader. I'm an individual person that sits in my house and makes content about my area of education. But it's been an interesting thing for me to actually realize, and it plays into how much we hate experts, because like, people hate my confidence, but like, I have been the expert in the room since I was 22 years old. What were you doing at 22 years old? Were you the expert in the room? There was this very interesting time that we got a very serious standby mission, and we had a brief 16 hours later, our first brief, and every single other person got to stand up and say, we don't know what we don't know, these are all the questions. But the intelligence officer had to be an expert on the terrorist group in that region in 16 hours. I'm now 38. If you have expertise, use it. But just understand that, especially if you're a woman, especially if you present like a typical woman, people are going to, like, your expertise is subconsciously pissing them off. And that can be in any topic, but especially if it's in masculine topics like the military. People are so into being like, why is so-and-so male veteran saying different from you? I hate to break it to you, but that male veteran knows that even in the military, I would have been the expert in the room that he would have been having to listen to. All right, they're heading in mass to the sledding hill, babe.
This weather, they're going for it.
She said Jack was outside with them and lost all control, so they headed in mass to the sledding hill. So pick up from there. It doesn't have to be right this minute. And
Yeah,
I will.
that's reasonable.
I will go to.
I haven't done enough gardening for that yet this morning. It's just really such a cold miserable walk. Are you all right, bro? Are you stuck?
Of course, you're allowed to enjoy things during this, and this is true even when you're at war. You're not shooting the whole time. You're not like, whatever freak out people want to see, like, that is not sustainable. That is not sustainable.
God,
like, you have
silence.
to find. I'm getting in trouble for having scissors on the couch.
Let me take my AirPod out. Oh,
The scissors are going to live on the floor now. I'll take mine out. Oh yeah, being mask presenting probably gets you sometimes trust, but lots of other hatred. So someone said, if you're a woman of color, you know things and you will catch grief. Yeah.
Oof. Good morning, all.
Finding joy despite this is a revolutionary act, but also white people and white women especially need to understand that, like, joy was surgically removed from our culture. And so part of finding joy needs to be going all the way back to the Puritans or your family of origin and understanding that, like, joy, whatever tradition your ancestors come, like, I'm from Slovakia, like, that land, that territory, those waters, those traditions, all of that was ripped from my family. Right? And we were thrown into whiteness. Then we were ripped away again by a cult. But
What have y'all been
Here's the
discussing this
mister.
morning?
I was just anguished, so I just showed up to
It feels fair.
sit in community.
And reasonable. It's pretty.
Purity culture and evangelical culture is so fucked up. And you know, like the Puritans have been described as, their religion was described as the fear that someone somewhere is having fun. But I also think that, like, the actual joy that comes from resisting tyranny is in there. Like, it's, you know, everyone wants the bonding of a team of soldiers. And nobody understands that's from going through really hard shit together. That comes from going through the kind of hard things that you can't engineer because it's not ethical. That comes through wondering if you're going to survive today.
Sorry,
And then the joy that you find from walking away.
I shouldn't have smiled when you said that.
I said what?
Just discussing that bonding experience, it just made me think, like, picture more than one situation where I was like, yeah, I can vouch for this. But also I smiled while doing it. So, probably part of the problem with it.
People ask us why we're not freaking out more, and I'm like, my husband will just casually tell you about this one time he got shot down in a helicopter with an RPG and looked into the water to see where he was going to die.
It's not exactly how I tell the story, but I looked over the dash to see where I was going to die, and it turned out it was water, and I got so angry that's when I realized I could fight back and try something else. Oh, the thought of drowning pissed me off more than getting shot, I think. Anyway, we don't need that conversation this morning. Yeah, all of the military adjacent folks smiled just a little. Like, in my head, I just pictured
We are in Maryland.
I pictured the knucks we threw up after we landed from a psycho mission where, like, it was like, that was the mission where I had to tell my crew, I said, hey guys, don't flip out too much, but we're getting shot at right now. They go, what? Where? I said, I don't know. I can't see it. I can only hear it. And then finally, the aircraft behind us was able to see the muzzle flashes, and they called it out, and everybody started shooting. And still miraculously, we didn't take any rounds that whole day. That's when we figured out that they had changed their TTPs to remove tracers.
That means tactics, techniques, and procedures.
That war is over, so I can probably say things like that now, right?
I mean, like TTPs?
No, the removed the tracers thing. At some point, giving away that we knew that was happening would have been probably problematic. I don't know. I'll stop talking.
Drum corps, yeah. And I think that music programs can be very, like, coercive and culty and awful. You have like all the pieces there. And cults are all about performance, so the performance arts being culty, you know, they just goes hand in hand. That's why I'm writing a musical. Ooh, maybe I will play half the.
Oh, it's sleeting, and I've got to go walk 3/4 of a mile in the snow, uphill both ways. Oh boy, it's a day. How is y'all's day? Is anyone north of this or west of this stuff and just enjoying a normal cold day? Or is everybody else just in it with us?
Reagan has no electricity.
Oh, yikes. We haven't gotten to the ice just yet. Our transition is happening soon. You're in Wisconsin, so you're just ready for it. Normal.
We are getting help to write. The problem is everyone wants to help with the musical, and that's not a problem. But
Yeah.
I have to have a production company. I have to have contracts.
Yeah, in Texas, it looks pretty bleak right now. North New York, oh yeah, you're about to get just crushed. That's like upwards of 40 inches I've seen in some places forecast from upstate New York across to Maine. Like, that's a lot of snow.
Are we in northern Maryland?
Yes. I mean, we're in the DMV. We're not really northern Maryland. That would be more like north of Baltimore.
Mm-hmm.
Western Maryland would be out in the like mountainy parts. Then there's the eastern
cold
shore.
Day in western Colorado. Yeah, y'all didn't get the storm, right? Like this one. New York City. Yeah, we were supposed to be coming back from New York City today, but we canceled for weather.
Yeah. Still have northern Maryland, y'all are going to be more snow than we were right on that line where we wasn't sure what we were going to get here in the DMV, and it looks like we got about 8 inches of snow, and now it's starting the transition to ice. So
probably going to come do an event in Boston. I am a world-renowned expert on cults.
Oh.
I've written these 2 books about it. No, you can't see them on TikTok. Sorry.
Yeah, everybody's cold and snowy. Actually, haven't looked outside yet in Texas. Just keep the windows closed and the heat inside. It's the best you can do.
I need ideas of like where to host it in Boston. I'm not looking at bookstores. I'm looking at like large brewery. I'm looking at like a place we can fit 100 people.
This anal is weird for me. Good morning from the United States of Embarrassment. That's us. That's the all of us. Because not just that, even when you know you're going
DMV
down on the right side of history on these things, but we still have to live through it, and we still have to look back on the people that we know were on the wrong side of history too.
Yeah, but this time everything's recorded. You know, when I first came to the U.S. in high school, and I had a class on African American history. So this was the first time I was ever exposed to the civil rights movement in any way, shape, or form, right? And just like I remember watching these documentaries and seeing like all the white people like protesting against desegregation and just being like, gosh, imagine how embarrassing it must be if they're your grandparents. And it's all out there. Like the MAGA face ladies, like what are they gonna do? They changed their faces for the cult. This is not the first time, by the way. Plastic surgery cults are a thing.
Yeah. My dad may be able to take down his Trump flag, but we'll all know he flew it. And we all know how long he flew it for. Oh yeah, sorry. And the local parlance, I apologize. I'm bad about doing that with Army language too, that we've already experienced today. So yeah, the DMV is the DC, Maryland, Virginia kind of like corner of all of the states. Different than the Delmarva Peninsula, which would be Delaware, Maryland, Virginia, generally collectively referred to as just the Eastern Shore. But yeah, DC area.
It's the best part of the country, and we know because we drove around the whole country.
I'm starting to
We drove around the whole country during COVID 2020, and it was basically our friends in different states just pitching us to come have a commune near them.
This is true.
As I wrote my cult book.
However, we do have our limitations. Like good real lakes, not really an East Coast thing. At least, that's not true because they have lakes up north. But like coming from Washington, where we have real mountains and real lakes, like those things I do miss. However, this place does have a lot of accessibility and just convenience that other places don't have. So it's nice for that. In a red state. Yeah, like So I keep looking for places where we could potentially move to enjoy like lakes or something. But then it's like, do we want to be in North Carolina? Not really. Do we want to be in Texas? I will not have the women of my life in that state if I can help it. The people that we have in our lives that are in that state, I would prefer they try to get out.
Although I will be in Dallas on April 16th. Come see me. Deets in the bio. There's no deets yet other than you can register for when there are deets.
I love Huntsville, to be honest, but no, I wouldn't move there. Sorry, that's a comment from this side. But like Huntsville, I think is a very cool little city with a lot of those things that I just said I like, except it's in Alabama and controlled by Alabama politics. So no, I would not move my family there. And yeah, I like the conveniences that come with like actual urban living, like being able to walk to a grocery store and being able to ride my scooter to school and walk our kid to school in the morning. Like these are things that I value. So I think you have to give most of those up as soon as you go like suburb style.
And that, I was thinking about this the other day, like the community. So we live in one of these planned communities that has like a bunch of townhouses, we got like a FedEx, a Whole Foods, blah, 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 blah. You run into your neighbors. If you live in a place where you just park your car and then leave and drive away, like you don't have those third spaces built in. And in America, we've lost more and more of our third spaces, right? That is partially intentional. But like living somewhere where you're forced to run into your neighbors, I think makes a difference in happiness levels.
And somebody was commenting that Asheville is blue and accepting, and I would believe Asheville is a cool city. And current trajectory, I would say North Carolina is becoming higher and higher on my list of places that I would accept. The more purple it gets, like I think Roy Cooper for governor with the current body that you have, if you could fix the gerrymandering in your state so you can like undo some of the things that the Republican controlled state Congress has done there, then it could be a decent place to live. But it's still already a position where you're having to fight back against loss of rights as opposed to living in a state where they're fighting just to keep the ones they have already.
Yelling at me about Native American land is only going to get you blocked. I have a whole plan to demilitarize, give land back, and pay reparations all at the same time.
I mean, yeah, we've got a lot of historical wrongs to right.
Yes, I know, but this person is just repeatedly yelling at us.
Oh, yeah, I didn't even see that side. I like Oregon. I like Portland, but moving back to the West Coast seems antithetical to the reasons that we moved to the East Coast at this point. Plus, it puts us in more cold that this lady clearly doesn't like.
No, you will shut up because it's my space.
Lived in Asheville for 6 years. I like the concept, and there are like some at least dammed up rivers that they've turned into lakes there that are nice or that look nice. I did like Albuquerque when we were there, but like this lady doesn't like snow so much, so it's like all those places.
Organize. How do we desuburbanize America? Organize.
True.
Organize. Also, I think everyone in America needs to be less attached to air conditioning. I don't think y'all think enough about how much air conditioning is ruining everything. Everything. Okay, so I grew up in Brazil, a country that, because they are poor, but also many other reasons, did not respond to air conditioning by freezing everything. And then I lived in Texas, a place that did respond to air conditioning by freezing everything. And like, it's not just how fucking bad we are for the planet that we produce 25% of the Earth's green gases or whatever that is, even though we are only 2% as Americans of the population. But it's also, you just don't have friends. Nobody hangs out outside anymore. So with air conditioning, everything turned to pay. Really, the only place you can go hang out these days without having to spend money is libraries, and you can't talk in those. Like, we're gonna have to get a fucking handle on the air conditioning, y'all. And that's just one example.
I mean, the energy usage in general, yes. If we could convert to cleaner energy, the air conditioning would be less impactful.
You can't imagine no AC in Phoenix, but people lived in Phoenix for thousands of years before air conditioning.
I mean, also, yes, but before we made it so it's regularly above 110 during the day in Phoenix.
Yes, but part of that was from air conditioning.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying
there's a reason that in really hot climates, everyone goes home for 2 hours in the middle of the day.
Fix multiple things simultaneously. It's true. But
I'm focused on air conditioning.
Yeah, I know.
Everyone has to focus on their own.
Phoenix, like the number of people that live in Phoenix also shouldn't be possible because we've piped so much water into Phoenix that wouldn't otherwise be there. So like we've created this artificial thing that we then have to continue to feed. And all of the things we have to feed it are hurting the environment. But also, like, yes, you live in Phoenix. We don't want you to like boil to death in the summer.
And I'm not saying when a culture has evolved, you can't just get rid of that thing. But thinking that you can't live without it is what I'm talking about. Like the whole change of, he spent a bunch of time in Iraq.
Yeah.
There's places that are as hot as Phoenix. Afghanistan. There's places that are as hot as Phoenix.
Yeah. Maybe. No, I'm not going to go there. But living in hot environments with a strict dress code is inhumane, whether you're a man or a woman. But yeah, it sucks. Oh my God. I remember trying to, it's crazy when Americans try to fight a war in a hot climate, but then keep the creature comforts of home, because then when they go out, your job feels so impossible. Like you have to live in these little, essentially shipping containers, but they're only livable if you have the electricity working and the air conditioning running. Otherwise, they just become a little oven. And then the power goes out for a few days because it gets blown up or whatever. So it's 140 degrees in the little oven that you're supposed to sleep in during the day. And then you don't sleep a week, obviously. And then you stumble into work and they're like, all right, have fun flying all night. You go, oh God. And then they wonder why accidents happen where there's so much pilot error.
And also spicy food, y'all. When it's really hot, you're supposed to eat spicy food, which makes you sweat and cools you down. That's part of it.
Yeah. People used to just open windows.
Don't tell that to Brazilians. They get very upset about spicy food.
Iraq, Phoenix, Metro, Redford. Oh, it's almost too far away for me to see. Pretty sure it's even worse in Iraq, Phoenix. Anyway.
Yeah, the right kind of houses, and again, someone was like, yeah, you prioritize the air conditioning. In Brazil, most people still don't have air conditioning in their homes, but the malls have air conditioning, the public spaces have air conditioning.
Yeah.
Old people's homes, retirement communities have air conditioning.
But also we prioritize uber comfort instead of a little discomfort.
Right. And I was going to say, even in the homes that have air conditioning, they're not freezing it to 60 degrees.
In an area where it's 110 degrees outside, you can cool your house down to 90 and survive, as opposed to cooling it down to 75 to be comfortable. These are choices we're making.
Yes, even in humidity.
As a society, these are choices we're making.
Sweat is what cools you down. Brazilians take 3 showers a day on average.
Say that again for a screen recording. I don't even know what I said. Or it's probably what you said, I'm sure. This one's much harder to read than this is YouTube, right? Yeah, YouTube is much harder to read the comments. Oh. I suppose I finished my coffee, so I should walk to our child.
So interesting when we're talking about a cultural thing, like the way the US uses air conditioning, and then individuals come with, like, oh, but I have this specific thing where I have to have it. Like, people in all these countries have specific health things too. And there are many feeling.
Yeah.
And also prioritizing the people that need the service would be one of those things we could culturally do.
Yeah. Swamp coolers are surprisingly effective. Science. It's just great. Evaporation energy. But anyway, I suppose I'm going to say goodbye to y'all and walk to our child in the snow. I don't know what the right boots are to wear for this.
Would you like me to come with you?
No.
Or will I just make it worse?
No. Hopefully somebody's there. Ooh, I should be there with a prepared cup of coffee for the walk.
Say, get your whiskey coffee.
That's what I need. Anyway, good morning, y'all. I hope those without power are doing what you need to stay warm, but doing it safely. Make sure you are not having fires that produce carbon monoxide in confined spaces without ventilation. That would be very unsafe. So lots of blankets. Remember, the Army acronym is COLD. That's keep it clean. Don't overheat or don't overdress. Wear it loose and in layers because the air is really what you need for the insulation, and keep it dry, especially. Follow those rules with your layers, and you will stay warm enough to survive. And with that, I'm going to go follow my own advice, but break one or two of the other rules for keeping warm in a cold climate.
We're going to go butterflies all over this.
Just have a day, y'all. I don't think we're in a society where we have good ones at the moment. Have a day.
Have a day. Weighted blankets are good. Yeah, but wearing an ice pack when you're walking around. I mean, in Rio, we used to freaking wet our sheets at night. I'm not saying conveniences are not good. I'm just saying that first world people that think that they can't survive without conveniences, this is why we're not freaking out in this house, because we have survived a lot. And if we don't survive, it's immediately not our problem. I don't know what to do with this one. I think I put I think this gold is wrong on this one. I think it maybe needs to just be greens because there's already so much flowers. Agency Chad, it's weird for you to be disappointed, but you don't get to demand my attention. No. Clutch your man pearls if you're feeling ignored. Bye. You don't need to tell us this minute that you're gone. It's not an airport. You don't need to announce your departure. It's the cultural response. This is the same question. It's still going on because I was wearing only nipple pasties in the videos where I talked about Americans culturally do not get passports, and it's the only country I know of. And so many people's response is well, that's because America is huge. So is Brazil. So is Indonesia. South Americans don't even get out of their countries too often, and yet they still have their primary documents because it's a cultural thing. Every excuse you have, they're expensive, cultural thing. It's interesting being a culture critic who grew up internationally, because so much of what Americans think must be is xenophobia and privilege. No, passports are not that expensive in most other countries. Cultural thing. also in other countries where they are so expensive, people still have their primary documents because cultural thing. It's also one of the best ways to protect yourself from identity theft is to get the children's passports, even if you're never going to travel, because it's really easy to get a first passport. Of course, they make it expensive on purpose. Everything in America is about control. Yeah, Texans don't know how to behave at all. Never have. Nobody ever taught them. Yeah, you need birth certificates for stuff in almost every country. Birth certificate and passport are different things. It is in America only. It's the only country I know of where the majority of people do not have a passport. That is a culture thing. Just a culture thing. I don't know. Will they be moving you down the streets in the spring? No one can do anything to me by force. I don't know. Maybe they just keep adding more kinds of gold and more kinds of green. All the necklaces here. These are just my snow weekend project. No, I don't. I'm not here to give passport suggestions. I was merely commenting on it as an example of a cultural phenomenon. No, I never said the military wouldn't shoot. Never said that. And also, Renee Good was not murdered by the military. Bye, I'm sorry you can't hang out here anymore. Actually, I did say the military wouldn't likely shoot civilians. And then I also said we'll know that they will if it happens. And then we'll be in that world. And then I will still know more about the military than you, a random civilian that didn't have the balls to sign up for service. I'm so glad you're unsubscribed. Bye-bye. Yeah, I'm answering questions. We're going to go glue butterflies on a necklace now. Yeah, you can add that. I don't own the information. Yep, I'm rude when I want to do. This is my channel. Normalize not policing grown women's attitudes. It's misogynistic. I don't know that Alex will break the cult, but it might be a tipping point. The cult was broken. When he came out and said, we're not doing the Epstein list, he trashed the mission. The cult has been broken since then. I've been telling you all that, and you all have been screaming at me that I was wrong. And yet, I have not been wrong. So, we are watching it break. They haven't been able to save it. That's because you can't have a cult without a mission. So they're trying, they're really trying, but it's not working. Yes, it is only women that get called rude for being confident or for like shutting down insults. And like, I just don't care if people think I'm rude. It's almost always when someone deserves it or they're just reading me wrong. Like I said, you can misunderstand what I'm saying about the military, but coming to yell at me about it, what you misunderstood, that's a choice. It does take a lot of time for cult, but like when I said with the Renee Good thing is going to be a crack in the brainwashing for a lot of white women, especially white MAGA women. And people were like telling me I was a liar and I was ignorant 3 days later. You think you see a crack in the brainwashing in 3 days? Years, decades, sometimes. And it's also like, not is it only the women that are called rude, but like, yeah, I'm ruder. I'm ruder than he is because he doesn't get mansplained to all the time by people that have no idea. The amount of civilians with their full chests that tell me I'm wrong about the military.
Literally is uphill both ways, though.
As though y'all understand it. And again, even if I was wrong about a thing, I would still know more about the military than civilians. We don't know what their role is going to be if he activates the National Guard. That's why we're waiting to see what happens. Okay, I have to pause you all for a second. I will be back. Okay, so the thing to do about stolen valor is not care, especially if you're a civilian. But if you have to care, file a congressional inquiry. That's what you do. It's not yell about it on the internet. It's not try to get them canceled. It's not go ask other people what they think. File a congressional inquiry. That's the process. Oh, we're gonna play guitar too. Yeah, like my husband thinks should be the National Guard without weapons. I think that's really silly at this point. But, you know, we're all going to find out what happens together. Oh, hello, retired military. Wow, everybody. MAGA still thinks we're the violent ones, and they insist, and many people on the left insist on thinking that there are like no weapons on the left. Like the amount that Americans on the left are believing the propaganda might be another thing I write a book about after all of this, because it's been quite a thing to see. Yeah, the military is not a monolith. And also, the military doesn't operate with individual soldiers. So, like, the only thing y'all need to worry about is if the military is 80% MAGA. And it's not by a long shot. What I realized in the last month is that what most Americans on both sides of the aisle think about the United States military is MAGA. Like, that's who y'all think joins MAGA, joins the military. The people tried to be like, Jonathan Ross was military. Jonathan Ross was National Guard. And there's a reason that every single person on active duty will make a distinction between them and the National Guard. I have never said that military vets never claim that martial law can happen. See, that's not an error you caught. That's a thing you made up because you either didn't listen to me or didn't understand. Do better. I would never make a claim about all vets for any reason because I know veterans, because I was in the military and because I'm a veteran. I promise you don't have to be sitting here waiting for me to get something wrong, because when I get something wrong, as all analysts are going to do eventually, I'll tell you, sure called that election wrong, didn't I? Yeah. So far, I've said 0 things wrong about the military because I understand it. And y'all are sitting here waiting for me to mess up in my area of expertise. And it's not going to happen because I'm not pretending to be an expert. I was in the real military. It was my real adult job. I mean, I would definitely say things like most veterans. I would never say all. That's so stupid. It's like all the people coming saying, you said the military wouldn't follow legal orders. No, I didn't. And I gave you tens of examples of following illegal orders, even myself. Why would I say something that stupid? It's like someone coming out and being like, 0 cops are going to murder anyone today, anywhere in the US. Just silly koala talk. All right, so we've got some big butterflies. I got a whole bunch of little butterflies. Guten Morgen, Deutschland. Guten Morgen. All right. This is why I don't like the word "duh" in my title. I'm also not the only knitting cult lady. There's plenty of people out there that knit and know a lot about cults. But yeah, because it's culty. It's culty. And it's like the whole thing about people wanting to like ruin my credibility. Like, do y'all think if I get something wrong, then all of a sudden all of my expertise from the military disappears? All of a sudden I wasn't a military planner with huge amounts of experience and everything going on right now? No, like if the military turns their weapons on Americans, now we live in that world. And I'm still probably a pretty good person to help us navigate it. People think they know about stuff they don't because the death of expertise. I mean, I started noticing it during the Obama election when I was still in college, and the whole conversation of, is he too smart to be the president? And I was like, what? And we've only increased it from there. You're like, oh, I want someone to have a beer with. First of all, when American men say they want to have a beer with someone, usually that means they want to rape them. if it's not another American man exactly their age. So I don't care about who you want to have a beer with. I want the best motherfucking politician in the country running the country. If you're middle-aged, middle-class white people with no training, you start organizing and you start training yourself. That's what you do. The America that you grew up in is gone. Some of us were born knowing that we were not guaranteed any freedom or any rights. You start educating yourself. Go read 50 books on authoritarianism. That's what I've been doing. No, I cannot tell you what type of training you need to look for. You need to assess your community. You need to figure out what you care about, and you need to get involved. I care about air conditioning in the post office. What do you care about? The answer is organize. Black people have been telling us this for centuries. There's no quick answer. Organize. Okay, so if you're the most concerned about keeping your kids safe, how are you going to do that? I cannot keep your kids safe from. I have plans to keep my kids safe and my neighborhood safe. How are you going to do it? Part of what our community knows is that they can come to 27 years of white military experience and ask for our help. Who are those people in your community? Oh, hang out, Jessica. You'll figure out the attitude. But it's because our country's falling apart. It's not a great day. And I have no time for privileged ass Americans who want to cry. Especially because they all want to tell me I'm not doing it. And I've been saying since 2015 that this was coming. And like the truth is, nobody can give us the recipe. Actually, Black people could give us the recipe, and they have been. They're not doing it this time. And that's the correct answer. White people are going to have to figure this out. And y'all, we might end up living in a dictatorship for a decade or two before we figure it out. There's no guarantee. Just organize and we're going to figure it out. No. The Iranians are out there fighting their government with sticks and stones after 50 years of totalitarian control. The Brazilians peacefully voted down their military dictatorship after 20 years. Yeah, this is not going to be fast. This is not going to be easy. You might even lose democracy. You do have decades, actually. What are you going to do? Sit down and die? What, with all this we're cooked language, what do you all think happens? Do you think 350 people just spontaneously combust if the president doesn't leave office? Like, no, then we live in that world. And then we have to deal with that world. Of course, we're going to take it back. Authoritarianism almost never wins. It's really, people want to be free. People want a society that works. People want their children not getting shot when they go out on the streets. It's really, really hard to forcibly control a population for so long. Iranian eye for showing their hair. And so many of them went out on the streets showing their hair that the regime gave up. Are you ready to lose an eye? Yeah, if you're defeated, you don't have to do anything. That's exactly why apocalypticizing is a thing. This is exactly, okay, the children of God in the 80s, right, Cold War, whatever, they had this song called 20 Minutes to Go. And it was literally, the bombs are incoming, 20 minutes to go. How much love can you show? Because if you think you're going to die, if you think the world is ending, you're going to sit down and hug your family. If I thought rockets were coming in here in 20 minutes, I wouldn't be talking to you all at all. I would be sitting down and hugging my family. That's why they want you in a state of panic. That's why the intelligence officer's job is to very, very calmly just detail to you all the people that are going to try to kill you and then send you out on your mission. Education, organization, and figuring out what the fuck you're willing to sacrifice. Because it's propaganda. What the admin is doing right now is propaganda. This is a sign of totalitarian control, telling you you're not seeing what you're seeing. And we all have to pay very close attention to that. I mean, they'll figure out it's that deep when it comes for them. I still have not forgiven Mr. Knitting Cult Lady for telling me that I was exaggerating on election night 2016. Like, that's still just there. That's a thing that he said that he has to live with. Okay. How do you know when there's too many butterflies? I'll put it on right now, of course. Oh, yeah, he's apologized, but I have not forgiven him yet. I also voted third party. I love it so much. But wait, it's supposed to be off center. Okay. Doesn't go with the earrings, but oh well. A large group of butterflies is called a kaleidoscope. Oh, I didn't know that, but I love that. I still have a whole bunch more butterflies. No, I don't think politicians have courage, or I at least think politicians are in. One of the things people need to understand is like our politicians are a system, right? The same way I couldn't just do whatever I wanted in the military. Our politicians can't just do whatever they want. They have to work within the system. This is part of why when y'all ask me to run for politics, I'm like, but I can do so much more now. You know, when people were asking Michelle Obama to run, I'm like, why? Why would she go lock herself back into that system? So we definitely need to, we the people. I almost know how to play my whole song now. Yeah. It's so weird that y'all want to pay me money to tell me I'm liberal. I actually know that I'm liberal. Thanks. But I appreciate getting paid to be told what a liberal piece of garbage I am. Just like my hair. Y'all MAGA, y'all pay me $10,000 a year to tell me how stupid my hair is. Yeah, it really hits. It really hits. I just cry myself to sleep. I wish I could say I was laughing all the way to the bank, but I think you just type it right into my bank account. It's so lovely of you. Out of coffee. Not totally out. I am, however, going to drink very fancy French champagne while we watch the world fall apart. They're paying for the hair. I know. This is like, it's brilliant branding, but also it's free. They used to have to pay to be blonde. They didn't get me anything. Also, like, y'all, I'm a spy by trade, and like MAGA cannot hear you if you have blue hair. They just can't hear you. Someone was asking me about what, like, they're in a wheelchair. Like, the thing I will do with a brigade of wheelchair users, if this actually turns into a hot war, y'all are first on my list. The people everyone underestimates. I know, they get so mad when you block them and delete their rhetoric, and people try to be... Even my husband yesterday, he was like, it was maybe a little bit too intense how your mod was muting everyone who was talking about a topic. And I was like, I think you need to understand that my mods are controlling the conversation so that we can have a conversation. So like, we weren't able to have a conversation yesterday because everyone was running here to tell us that somebody got shot. Got it. But, you know, we're blocking people, we're muting them. Pink hair. We need a good 60s protest song. If you give me one, I will try to play it. Project 2025 is not 51% complete. Y'all gotta stop listening to the terrorists' trackers. "40 states are anti-Trump right now. There's no way that Republicans will win in the midterms. It's the lowest presidential popularity ever. Project 2025, 2026, Project Esther. It's really scary to all of you that have never seen cult operations plans before. And it's really scary that we're having to deal with a cult operation plan nationally. But no, they are not winning. When in Afghanistan, my job was helicopters, right? And every single time a helicopter fell out of the sky, often because they ran out of gas, it happens way more than you think it should, the Talibans would be like, oh, we did it, we shot it down. And we just had to know that they would claim authority for that and things would get worse. Because the reason the bad guys claim they're winning is so that they get more support. But they weren't winning. They won in the end. Stephen Miller is dangerous. What he isn't is a genius. Turns out migrants were good for the economy. Who knew? Everybody. It's almost like, wait for it. Immigrants, we get the job done. And that has always been the case in America. Always. I'm also an immigrant. It's just weird to be an immigrant who only has American citizenship. Although if they ever got really draconian with birthright citizenship, I would end up stateless. And that would be really, really funny. Snow the Product is my faves. I've been listening to it pretty much as I can handle. She followed Amanda's mild takes on Threads. And I was a bit jealous. A bit jelly. This is because a big part of my makeup is Mexican teenager, even though I'm not actually Mexican. Actually, this is how the Love Bomb collar came about, because I was trying to... I was on an intentional identity journey, and I was trying to deal with the fact that there's nothing about me that is actually Mexican. But for the first 12 years of my life, I thought one person was my father, and that person was Mexican, right? So while I was being formed, I believed I was Mexican. And then I lived in Mexico for the very significant ages of 14 and 15. And by lived in, I mean I was trafficked through Mexico and Lower Texas, either as a kitchen slave or as a carnival clown and performer. But like my kid, for example, she knows, like, if you ask for candy in a regular store, like the answer is probably no. But if you ask for candy in the Tienda Latina, we are buying all of it. Especially anything with tamarindo, of course. And all of my brothers who are not on the right side of history. They fucking love their tamarindo candy, though, don't they? Yeah, I know who my father is. My mother accidentally told me when I was 12. Everybody knew. It wasn't a secret. They just forgot to tell me over and over again as I was growing up. Yeah, with that influence. Sorry. This is the wine that Marjorie Joy bought me. If you're here, Debbie, she came all the way from Nashville to my party. It's so lovely to meet her. Like some of these people who I had been, I mean, and we've been doing this for 3 years, y'all. You know, I've known her for 3 years. And it was so lovely. Rebecca Sloot, White Woman Whisperer, the first time anyone knew her last name was in my book, right? Like she is scared of what y'all are going to do to her. And the fact that I had like 10 people show up who were like, I love your work. They've been listening to the podcast. They've been they are the white women that we are doing this for. And it was so nice. La Delita, I'm actually very excited to go to Iowa City, Iowa. We will start planning that soon. Okay. I do love Mexicans too. And when I was in a privileged position to hire a nanny for Knitting Called Baby who I was raising in Portuguese. I raised her in Brazil and Portuguese for 5 years. And I hired a nanny from Guadalajara, Mexico, which is the main place that I was at. Which is why I say I don't say yo, I say yo. Which is a very Guadalajara thing. But, it's like, when people are like, why are you scared? Why aren't you more upset? This is my personality. Like, when I was 11, I became the kitchen, and that's what I did for 5 years until I got away. Like, I can take trays out of the oven with my bare hands, right? Like, kitchen slave. But I was fortunate enough to be a kitchen slave in Belo Horizonte, one of the best cooking parts of Brazil, and Guadalajara, Mexico, one of the best cooking parts of Mexico. Guadalajara. And like, the boy in Guadalajara. I've looked for him so much in the modern world. Noé Lugo, twin brother Carlos Lugo. If you're out there, I would like to say goodbye to you. Rebecca is wonderful. Oh, they do ja in Spanish in Colombia too. It's always funny. So my first unit that I showed up to, right? I showed up at Christmas, so everybody was kind of gone, and showed up. I talked to the platoon sergeant who was from Puerto Rico, so of course he knows. I'm like, yo, my first name is Daniela, right? We have the conversation. So we had a conversation. Blah blah blah. He knows I speak Spanish. First unit thing I show up to is the Christmas party, and I'm wearing like form-fitting jeans and a turtleneck. Like, I'm not wearing anything risque, except in the army. Yeah. So I'm walking to my seat and I just hear, mira este culo, which means look at that ass. And I just look up and it's two of my soldiers. I'm like, I know they're my soldiers. They don't know I'm their new lieutenant. And they certainly don't know I speak Spanish. This guy also, Sergeant Lugo, on his feet. Hey, Daniela. He's not supposed to call me Daniela. He's supposed to call me ma'am or señora. Hey, Daniela, bien, siéntate aquí. You just see these two soldiers like. And like I would always tell people, you definitely have a right to speak Spanish, right? So racist fucking white people in the military would be like, you're not allowed to speak Spanish. And I would be like, shut the fuck up. The official language for military business is English. Does not mean they're not allowed to speak Spanish. However, if you think Spanish is your private language in today's world, that's not very intelligent. So we had to, from then on, we made sure that everybody that came into the unit got the brief that the ma'am speaks Spanish. And not like she's from Texas, she can order tacos, but like I can tell you what part of the Spanish-speaking world you're from. Cubans. How they like español, but no S's. How are you going to speak Spanish with no S's? Oh, Cubans are funny. I had a very interesting journey with appropriating culture, which is if you're working that influence into your life in an intentional way, yes. Why? I've never had any Mexicans be mad once they hear this story. My best friend's like, you got to be careful about saying you're. I never say I'm Brazilian. I say I'm from Brazil. And I've never had a Brazilian be upset about that. But why? And this is part of why for me making the things, right? Like there's nothing about me. I can't actually say I'm Mexican. Pero yo soy de Guadalajara. Y puedo construir esta cosa bien mexicana. Y puedo usarlo. Y es parte de mi alma. And it was so interesting, right? When I had a child who spoke 2 Latin languages, because I always say, like, I have to present my Latina credentials at the door. And I've never been rejected. Y'all, when something happens to me, I don't say, ow, I say, ay, ay, ay. right? Like they get it. But when I had a child who spoke fluent Mexican Spanish and fluent Brazilian Portuguese, I did not, it was like this bridge, right? I did not have to explain. And I know I'm a white woman and everybody should be afraid of me, right? I have a weapon system built into my body that I can use at any time. But I didn't have to explain to Hispanic people that I respected their culture when I was clearly putting so much effort into raising my child like in that language and exposed to that culture. And that was something that was really, really cool for me. Now she does no longer speaks. So the credential presentations are back. But I've come on this very long journey of when I was 24 years old in Afghanistan, I started writing my first book. It was terribly bad. It was called The Girl from Nowhere. And I put that line in Uncultured, and I'm very proud of like that paragraph. And when I published Uncultured when I was 23, I believed I was the girl from nowhere and I didn't have an identity. And then I realized that I didn't have an identity, but that was because the cult didn't let me build an identity. I had to have an identity, and I could create that in any way I wanted that made sense to me. And now I'm like, I'm from everywhere. And it's interesting when people want to talk to me about cultural appropriation, because I'm like, please tell me. I was born in the Philippines, spent the first 3 years of my life in Japan. Then I spent a year in Peru. Then I spent a decade in Brazil. And if you aren't aware of the indigenous and African influences in those places, respectively, you should be. And then I spent 2 years in Mexico. And then I lived in the Middle East for a while. In college, I was adopted by a Punjabi Canadian family. And my favorite food is Ethiopian, just for fun. Please tell me where I'm from. And I think it's like a weird conversation, right? And I completely get that cultural appropriation by white people is a serious thing. But like, I have a friend who's a white redheaded lady, and she was born and raised in India as a Hare Krishna. And like when we're walking around, she gets yelled at all the time from cars, literally cars passing by being like, cultural appropriation. And like, she's from India. You know, third culture kids don't fit anywhere. We don't fit anywhere, and we have to make it up. And so what I've basically decided is like, if you're going to judge me without trying to understand, okay, you're just going to get it wrong. You're just going to get it wrong. All right. This is my song. It's my second song that I wrote. When you can't say how you feel, so you just say, "Hoa," and keep marching. And I was going to say it's not Indian people, because also specifically Indian culture is not upset when white people wear saris and do their stuff. It's like my friend Namita brought me Indian jewelry and a bunch of really cute bindis, and I can't wait to wear them with my kiddo. And I also can't wait to see people flip out. Mostly white people. And I like, Magpie, you're talking about how, wait, Magpie, you sent me these flowers, didn't you? Butterflies, I mean. Like you even have, like, you are Hispanic, but you were grown up, raised to be only white. And I was raised as a white American being told America was evil, and actually like got to absorb these other cultures. Really interesting to find out that America is actually evil. Oh, I love that you're raising your kids Japanese. I think that's awesome. All right, so it goes. When you can't say how you feel, so you just say, "Hoa," keep marching. Have a day, but up, have a day. Wake up at 4, shower and 10, shine your boots and... Sorry, TikTok. Wake up at 4, shower and 10, shine your boots and brief your men. Double time smile, triple check form. Ma'am, you're in charge of this whole damn swarm. Salute to the major and the sergeant too. Hold in your pea, pretend you're not blue. Carry your binder, carry their grief. They say you're a leader, but who brings you relief? Man, your hair is long, your voice ain't wrong, your voice ain't loud, your skirt's too long. Be firm, be soft, be calm, be fire. Be a leader the men can admire. Fine, I'm fine, and I'm looking totally hot. I run faster, I jump higher, and my nerves aren't totally shot. I'm screaming, help needing, but I'm performing hard. So, have a day, well hooray, fate just went faster anyway. Have a day, stand up straight, the system loves you and you don't break. Sounds funky. I say have a day cause I can't say help. Smile in the mirror like a regulation elf. I salute with both hands, I nod and I grin. And they never notice the panic within. They hand me the mission, they hand me the blame. They tell me to fix it, but it's always the same. Helping my fear with a bright poker face. A lieutenant's job is to vanish in grace. Man, stand tall, don't slip. Tighten your jaw. Bite back your lip. Don't shake, don't show, don't hesitate. Smile wider, man. The system's great.
Mama.
See?
Hi.
Yes.
Mom.
Yes.
Hi.
Hi. I'm fine, but the system's totally fucked. Lieutenant, push harder and don't forget to duck. I'm shaking like a fig leaf, yes,
Can you help me take off my boots?
but I'm running at the wall. Yes. So? Have a day.
Until we went sledding.
So tired in a photo. She said, we survived. Some are going to be more tired than others. And you're just like, I was like, well,
I just been looking like a zombie.
know.
I just been looking like a zombie.
Yeah. I was like, well, I know that mine was responsible for some shenanigans.
I wasn't. I was the third one to fall asleep. I was the one trying to get people. I was the one trying to get those brats to shut up.
Yeah.
It's good to be back. Definitely good to be back.
Yeah.
Everything was great until we went sledding.
Yeah.
I did bring my mittens, and I forgot to put like the part that was supposed to go over your boots over my boots. No, my hands turned red. Wait, no, the hands turned red was supposed to be a joke. It was supposed to be a joke. Dad asked, "You forgot your gloves," and I was like, "Yeah, but Ellie let me use my Ellie let me use hers when my hands turned red."
Magpie, could you send an email to admin@uncultureyourself.com? Because I would really like to send you a butterfly
And
necklace.
then Emily got in big trouble
I
because
know
she
you
went
put
across
your
the street when it was
email
icy.
in the letter, but I just don't know where it is exactly at this moment.
Mom,
Yeah.
then Emily got in really
Not
big
this one.
trouble because she went across the icy creek.
Yeah, that's dangerous. Falling into ice water is a good way to die.
Have a good hand.
Okay. All right. Have a day. Drink that Kool-Aid. Just drink that. Fake it louder anyway. Have a day. Stand up straight. The system loves you and you don't break. Smile and shine, she's fine, she's the line, don't break, don't cry. If silence is
After my mom sent you back.
strong, good job. Then why do I'm forgetting the chords? The chords.
And I remembered everything.
Except your gloves. Oh, you remember to bring everything back?
Yeah.
Good job. Okay. Right. Really. If silence is strength, oops, strength, then why do I shake into how many pieces can one soldier break? Oops, can one soldier break? I can't breathe, but I must obey. The smile's the armor they can't take away. Have a day, get out my way. I'm the one that you can't take. Have a day, stand up straight. The system loves you, you don't break. You're fine, LT, you're fine. She's got that army shine. She's got that army shine. She's smiling, she's thriving. Definitely, she's not crying. This is my song called Half a Day for my musical. I'm fine, except that I'm totally not. I'm crumbling to pieces beneath every goddamn thought. I'm leading, I'm bleeding, I'm playing the part. But the Cult Baby motto is, I can do it with a broken heart. No cereal today because Mr. Knitting Cult Lady made banana bread with like European einkorn flour and a bread maker.
Hey, Dad. I can play Roblox on the VR.
Thank you. Yeah. See, that's the line I can actually use because it's parody. Parody is protected by the First Amendment. Yeah, for now. There was this thing that cult babies and veterans have. I used to call it the Cinderella effect. Like, no matter what is going on in your life, when it's time to turn into a pumpkin, it's time. And then Taylor Swift named it for me. I can do it with a broken heart. And since I am mocking this quality, commenting on this quality, and also a little bit mocking evangelical performance culture, which is what she is doing, I'm allowed to use that. Same thing, Lee Greenwood's I'm proud to be an American, or at least I know I'm free. Because I'm specifically mocking Lee Greenwood and that song. I can use it. All the other lines I'm trying to use are satire. Satire, everything Weird Al Yankovic does, speech. So that's on a case-by-case basis. That's harder. Like, I really hope that Alanis Morissette and Bruno Mars are going to be fine with "We'll love you just the way you are. If you're perfect, we will love you just the way you are. But only if you're perfect." But I will actually have to ask them. All right, then. don't know what song we can play. Actually, don't know if I can play it because I don't know if I know. Don't you know? Don't you know they're talking about a revolution? I can't play it without practice, but I am supposed to be practicing it.
Are you still live?
Parody is protected. Satire is not protected. So if you're making fun of the actual lyrics that you're using, or the person who wrote it, or that actual song, that is protected by freedom of speech. Satire, taking their lyrics and using it to comment on something else, that is not protected by freedom of speech. That falls under free use. And for writing, super easy. You can use 2 lines of a song lyric. So I put the 2 lines of Lee Greenwood's song in Uncultured. But with performance, it's very different. And it's also like, sometimes it's asking permission and sometimes it's just well, are they really going to sue for this? It just kind of depends. It applies to the melody. So for melody, you can't have 4 notes in a row that are exactly the same.
Wait. Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. That's
No.
more than 4, isn't it?
Yeah, but is that an open source thing?
I mean, it was taken from.
There are some melodies that are so common, or like once it becomes a cultural thing, you're just not going to be able to sue everyone anymore. And again, it's like all the musicals I watch are taking lines from other things. Like there's definitely a way to do it.
Yeah, like Queen started it, and then Billy Idol, I think, took it, and then also Vanilla Ice.
But also, how old is it?
I mean, Queen did it in the 70s. No, I was wondering how many notes that is, and like, because it just kept getting used in.
Yeah. It's really, really hard if it's just music to win a case.
Okay, just curious.
But that's why for a while I was doing like, I can do it with a broken heart, right? And I would be completely safe. But
No, you mix red and yellow to make.
I found out I can use that one exactly.
Red and green don't make yellow.
Someone says Vanilla Ice was sued for that
And
big.
then blue
Oh,
at
there
the
you go.
bottom. And then the T
Vanilla
is
Ice
the
was
blue
sampling.
to make
That's
yellow.
different. Yeah. So it's all most of what like Hamilton did in Lin-Manuel Miranda did in Hamilton was also sampling. And I know from reading his book that he was like wanted to use a line from Lauryn Hill, but she does not allow her work to be sampled. And he like wrote that. So it's all he was sued for that jingle. Yeah, like what's her name? Who can't figure out what race she is? Ariana Grande. She was sued for these are a few of my favorite things. She lost like 90% of her profits on that song. So, all right. We have our other song. Is it a call? Is it a call? Call it what you want to. Call it what you want to. Alcoholics Anonymous. Call it what you want to. Call it what you want to. Call it what you want to. Jehovah's Witnesses. Norway says you're shunning cult. Call it what you want to. Call it what you want to. Military. Wrote 2 books about that aerosol. Call it what you want to. Call it what you want to. It'll be the same, just right. Can never remember. Sing the song the same way twice. Call it what you want to. Call it what you want to. Don't worry, I'll be just like that Mormon guy. Call it what you want to. Call it what you want to. It'll be the same, just in slightly different words. Call it what you want to. Call it what you want to. Don't even think about saying, hey, that's so absurd. Call it what you want to. What you want to. Salvation Army, not just red buckets and Noel. Call it what you want to. Call it what you want to. Super homophobic and the answer to a general. Call it what you want to. Call it what you want to. MLMs are commercial calls. Call it what you want to. Call it what you want to. Mary Kay and Avon doesn't work at all. Call it what you want to. Call it what you want to. Mormons believe the FLDS are worse than them. Call it what you want to. Call it what you want to. And nothing is good if it's only liked by men. Call it what you want to. Call it what you want to. Tesla and space. Call it what you want to. Call it what you want to. Call it what you want to. State of Texas. Call it what you want to. Call it what you want to. Call it what you want to. Catholics, don't you know that evangelicals hate you? Call it what you want to. Call it what you want to. Bezos and Musk sending penis rockets to the moon. Call it what you want to. Call it what you want to. Yellow Deli, it's a child labor cult. Call it what you want to. Call it what you want to. Oh my God, stop eating 12 sandwiches, y'all. Call it what you want to. Call it what you want to. Call it what you want to. 2x2s is a cult that had a schism. Call it what you want to. Call it what you want to. And a brainwashing tactic called the buddy system. What you want to, what you want to, la luz del mundo, llámala como quieras. Call it what you want to, call it what you want to. Y testimonio de Jehová, Brasil é aceita. Call it what you want to, call it what you want to. P. Diddy and R. Kelly, those were sex cults, y'all. Call it what you want to, call it what you want to. And how about the Epstein list, that thing that's making MAGA fall? Call it what you want to, call it what you want to. Where do we go from here? Eugenics, vegan, death cult, Seventh-day Adventists. Call it what you want to, call it what you want to. And cultivate the doctor and the dentist. Call it what you want to, call it what you want to. I don't remember. I can never remember. Burning, I wanna get high too. Call it what you want to. Call it what you want to. And all the same, I don't wanna die for you. What you want to. Call it what you want to. And all that's fake news, I can't even listen to you. Call it what you want to. Call it what you want to. Start brainwashing soldiers on the AFI's news. Call it what you want to. Call it what you want to. I know we took the military, now just the Marines. Call it what you want to, call it what you want to. And J.K. Rowling, Taylor Swift, Blake Lively, why you gotta be so mean? Call it what you want to, call it what you want to. Agents of imperialism called missionaries. Call it what you want to, call it what you want to. And all the sun signs of Gemini and Aries. Call it what you want to, call it what you want to. Scientology, I know you wanna sue me. Call it what you want to, call it what you want to. But you had to stop suing people cause they get discovery. Call it what you want to, call it what you want to. Ooh, ladies, whoops, you're gonna come for me. Call it what you want to, call it what you want to. But Teal Swan wants you to work in Costa Rica for free. Call it what you want to, call it what you want to. Yeah, if I meet Jesus one day, I'll give him the chance to apologize. Knitting coal, lady, call her what you want to, call her what you want to, call her what you want to. And finally, shame, call her what you want. Oh, this is my day job. And when you play to a million people every day, you can talk shit. But for now, grab your fucking man pearls because you don't have the ovaries to do what I do. Have a day, get out my way. I'm the one that you can take. Have a day, stand up straight. System doesn't love you at all. Ha ha ha. All right, that's it for me, folks. My guitar teacher says I'm doing great. They really did have to stop suing people. Okay, so Scientology. When I first hung my hat as a cult scholar, the things that the other cult scholars wanted me to know was, number one, you can't call the military a cult. Watch me. Number two, you can't call Alcoholics Anonymous a cult. Watch me. Number three, you shouldn't talk about Scientology because they like to sue. I don't like to sue anymore. They keep suing people for calling a cult, and then they go, I'm like, okay, sue me for calling you a cult. I'm really good at proving that things are cults, especially when I get discovery. And also, it's like, people don't understand, I think, where people didn't understand prior to me, the difference of the cult baby scholar. Like, you can put me in an organization that the others say they don't know how to tell, and within 24 hours, I could point you to the sexual abuse and the financial abuse. Every single time. Yeah. No, people don't like it when you point out delusions. My favorite is, I really like your stuff, but this one goes too far. And I'm always like, yeah, I liked your stuff until you turned the critical cult eye on my cult. It just doesn't hurt my feelings the way you think it do. It does. It just doesn't. Celestial Teas is the front of a cult. Hang on, I'll be right back. Almost punched me in the butt. Right. Pretty sure I wrote about it in this book. Celestial seasonings, they are called. Now let's talk about Girl Scouts. All right. You wouldn't expect it, but Celestial Seasonings, the tea company known for its cozy boxes and calming blends, has an origin story tied to the Urantia book, a 2,000-page pseudo-religious text that claims to be a divine revelation from celestial beings. In addition to bizarre teachings, such as the belief that Jesus was an alien, remember the thing about conquering space? Even more disturbingly, it is steeped in racist and eugenicist ideology. The book, which influenced co-founder Mo Siegel's business philosophy and even appeared in early marketing, promotes ideas such as the hierarchy of races and the elimination of so-called inferior groups. Although the Urantia book itself is not classified as a destructive cult because it's a book, not a group, experts note that some of its offshoot groups are. Its teachings helped shape the values and messaging behind the brand in its early years. Another example of fringe beliefs finding their way into mainstream culture. It's a reminder that even your favorite bedtime brew may have roots in something far more unsettling than herbal folklore. Speaking of tea, the Yogi Tea brand. And then we go into Girl Scouts. And this is why I say to the bros, I am my own citation. It's all the teas. All the teas. If you drink tea, you're probably supporting a cult. But also, the British raped the world for tea. So if you drink tea and you don't know the history of how the British raped the world for tea, no, I can't help you calm down if things are only getting scary for you right now. I'm sorry. I've been helping people calm down for a decade as things have been scary. Figure out what you're willing to sacrifice and how you're going to fight back, and understand that there's no way to safely push back against an authoritarian regime. Some of us are going to die. Some of us are already dying. The only way the threat officer calms you down is by giving you more information about the threat. That's why it's so weird that everyone is here being like, you said it was going to be fine. It's so weird that I said march toward dictatorship and you all heard everything's fine, don't worry. It's very American, very white American, I should say. All right, I gotta go. Have a day. I mean, okay, look with the T's, right? If you spend money in capitalism, you're supporting bad shit. Ford was a Nazi. Coco Chanel was a Nazi.
The dance
Yeah, babe.
What?
I said Coco Chanel was a Nazi, and she said from the dance trend, and I said, yeah, I'm pretty sure the reason there's a Coco Chanel dance trend right now is because she was a Nazi, and this is what we are living through. So like, don't go too crazy, because like your options for like your option is fight capitalism. It's not go live away in the mountains and don't ever spend money on anything bad, because everything is bad.
Is this fancy or is this something I'm proud of?
What do you mean by using your 2A? Yes, one of the biggest safeties that we have in America is we have 500 million guns and nobody knows who has them. And there's no way to sort out who has them. And that does not in any way mean you need to go out in the streets with your guns. It means that nobody can bring a military armed force in any neighborhood in America without needing to understand that, without understanding that this is, everyone is armed. I call it weapons herd immunity. And that is like, this was my actual job. This was my actual adult job, was to look at the population, figure out who has the weapons, and then advise the military. And the advice in America would be there's no neighborhood in America that you can go into without treating every single person as hostile, and every single house is extremely armed. You just can't sort Americans out based on what we look like, anything else. And it's just, there's so many of us and we have so many guns. So it doesn't mean you have to go get a gun. It doesn't mean you have to go out in public with your guns. Please don't, actually. Understanding that they can't win against all of us, I think, is the most important thing right now. All right. I'm really going to go because I have to pee.
It's almost a mimosa sunrise.